Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be going over the different classes in Rappelz so you can have a basic idea of what you'll be able to play should you ever decide to join the game. So first off, there are currently 4 active servers, 2 PvP, which are player versus player, and 2 PvE, player versus environment, which means no player versus player. I will be getting into the PvP system in a later video. I love how Rappelz has their PvP system, but that will be in a separate video. But right now, let's just go over the classes. So you have 3 races, and each race has their own predefined classes and setup. You have the Asura, which are going to be the basically dark magic. They're going to have high damage, low defense. You have the Gaia in the middle that are the earth magic. They're going to be um, actually a pretty good combination of tankiness to damage output. Um, and then you have the Diva, which is going to be the light magic. They are mostly the tanky. So left to right, we're going to start with the Asura. So when you begin, you will start at the basic job. Everyone starts at the basic job. Each race has their own basic job. Now, classes in this game are referred to as jobs. Basic job, first job, second job, and then finally your master class. And then you can kind of see how these branch out. We'll go into that. So the Asura's main thing is going to be what's called evasion, basically dodging attacks, being able to basically just people missing their attacks on you. Um, you start out as a stepper, and then once you reach a certain level, you are then able to take your first job and start your path down. So if you go Strider, Strider is going to be, I guess, kind of like the warrior kind of class of the Asura. They're typically either going to specialize in blades or crossbows if you choose Assassin or Shadow Hunter. And again, evasion's going to be their main stat. They really don't have defense. Now, once you reach a certain level, you're then able to go from your first job to your second job. If you choose Assassin, Assassins are pretty good at. They used to be really good in PvP. Actually, they still are. They have some of the highest damage, burst kill, things like that. They are incredibly squishy. They have some of the worst defense in the game. But what's really cool about them is they actually have a skill that allows them to go invisible so that they can sneak up on the people they want to kill or the monsters they want to kill. They have different kind of like a position-based attacks, things like that. Um, and then once you get here, you can only go to your master class. You don't really get to choose anymore. And the master class is really cool because not only does it make you a lot stronger, but unlike in the other classes where you can buy skills from any skill tree, the master class will have 3 different skill trees, and you'll have special um, skill points that you'll be able to put in there, which will define how you play the class. Which means that not everyone who plays Slayer will actually buy the same abilities or play the same way. Each tree has its own playstyle, and you can generally combine about like 2 of the trees effectively. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Slayer is going to typically have dual weapons like dual-handed dirks, things like that, and they're going to use their stealth and their burst to just obliterate whatever it is that's in front of them that they want to get rid of. But if you choose to go Shadow Hunter, you're going to instead be using crossbows, which you can actually dual wield crossbows, which is really nice. And you're going to be again using a lot of evasion to dodge attacks, and crossbows are going to be about like mid range. Um, you're going to go Deadeye. Deadeye is really, really strong class at higher levels. And basically, you just dual wield crossbows. You have a bunch of attack speed. You get a bunch of crit in there. Um, and you just dodge everything and you just destroy it before it can really even get to you. Pretty fun. Dark Magician, this is actually the first class I ever played. It's going to be your basic mage class from any MMO. And it branches out into Chaos Magician, which has a lot of burst damage. And when you get to the Master Class Void Mage, you actually have the strongest magical nukes in the game. If you are running the right equipment and the right skills, You can go into like any of the high level dungeons and just nuke a room in like a second, and yeah, that'll be it. Not much that anyone or anything can do about that if you know how to use it properly. On the other hand, the Warlock class is going to be more magical debuffs on the enemies that make them take more damage. Also, when you get to Corruptor, it's going to be more like damage over time abilities. Warlocks also get traps that you can place on the ground that have different effects if you get enemies to run into them. So that used to be pretty cool. Now at the bottom you have Sorcerer. So real quick, pets are like one of the most important parts of this game. If you like having pets, if you like having allies that you can control to fight with you, this MMO is like definitive the best pet system out of any MMO that has ever existed. I will make another video or maybe even multiple videos on the intricate pet system of Rappelz. But each race has their own pet class, basically, that specializes on using pets. Even though every class in the game can get pets, can use them, and should have pets, the pet classes utilize them and make them even stronger. So the sorcerer class is going to have some pet buffs. All of the pet classes have pet buffs, but they also specialize in dark magic. The reason you would go sorcerer, battle summoner, overlord is because basically you're going to get dark magic attacks that are going to allow you to be able to go in and kill enemies yourself. You synergize really well with your pets, and you make your pet stronger because the pet buffs that you only get for being the pet class. And on top of that, they're really nice because they'll have like auras. You can only have one active at a time, but if you're in a party with anyone, the aura will actively affect your pets and all of your party's pets, making them all actively stronger on top of the other buffs that you can use. Overlords, for the longest time, have been one of the main classes that people have played. They're definitely considered top tier. We're going to go middle lane now to the Gaia. This is going to be the Earth Magic. They're going to be a good combination of basically attack to defense. So whereas the Stepper of the Asura focused on basically evasion, and they got a skill that gives them better evasion, the Gaia are going to be focusing mainly on crit power, dealing critical hits. So if you go fighter, then you're going to be specializing mainly in damage, a little bit in defense, a little bit of bulkiness, but primarily, this is going to be your physical attack class. You have the champion, who is going to be able to either dual wield axes or have a two-hand axe, do a lot of damage. They're going to go Berserker as their master class, and they get a bit of defense in there, able to handle tanking multiple enemies, things like that, while they're dishing it all out. On the other hand, you have Archer, which is a ranged class. Now, whereas the Shadow Hunter going Deadeye is going to be using dual crossbows, which is going to be mid-ranged, really fast attack, using evasion, getting crit power. Archers are going to have slower attack. They are going to be a lot longer range, and they're also going to have a lot bigger burst damage. Less DPS, more burst damage. Um, both classes are really strong. Both classes are really fun to play. And what's kind of cool about the Archer, as they go into Marksman, you basically get these things called spiracles. They're like these little like orbs that just kind of circle around you as you level up the passive abilities for them. And these spiracles actually get shot with your abilities to basically make them stronger. Um, so yeah, it's just I don't know, it's kind of cool. You have them rotating around you, and then you shoot your magical like arrows, and then like the spiracles go with it. They do different things like stun people, deal extra damage, area of effect damage, things like that. If you go Kahuna, Kahuna is kind of like the buff class of the Gaias. They're known mainly for their buffs, especially in parties. Back that used to be like one of the best things is always have a Kahuna in your dungeon party. Excuse me. The druids are going to specialize in buffs and healing. They'll have, enough damage to go around, but they're more like utility base. Magus actually has skills to help increase your recovery, um, and that's pretty cool. The Battle Kahuna is going to be more your damage. They're going to be using a combination of magical and physical damage in order to just dish it out. Um, yeah. So the pet class for the Gaias is actually really cool. I'm currently in the process of making one, but whereas the overlords, the overlords are good about dealing a lot of damage, like magical damage, and buffing their pets and having auras to buff the party's pets. Once you actually level the evoker up, you actually get an ability to be able to turn into any of your creatures that you have in your formation, which means that you can go like really teeny tiny small, making it hard to be able to click on you. People like to do that in PvP. Just like in the middle of a duel, like go like really small so they can't really even be targeted. On the other hand of that, there are some people that'll like to go into towns and stuff, and they will turn into like the biggest thing they can, and then there's items on top of that that will like turn you into a giant, so you'll just have this like giant monster just like ravaging the town, like making Godzilla look small. But they buff themselves up by turning themselves into pets and then fighting alongside their pets. And yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say it any better than that. They turn into their pets, they buff themselves up, and they go in and they don't joke around. Then you have the Diva, who are going to be the light magic. These are going to be your primarily tanky and heals. So the guides start out, and the guides get a self-healing skill that just heals them. Because health is going to be a big thing for all these classes. So you have your Holy Warrior, which is going to be kind of like a lesser version of a soldier, kind of like a lesser version of the fighter from the Gaia. The Holy Warrior is really meant to be more defensive than an offensive power. If you go Knight into Templar, you're going to typically be using a shield and a one-handed sword. You're going to have the best defense in the game. The Knights, the Templars, nothing is more tanky than they are. The Soldier gives up a little bit of tankiness to deal a little bit more damage. Now, the Mercenary is still really tanky. They're still really good, but they're going to be more damage and debuffing the enemy, things like that. I have the Cleric, which is going to be your healer of the game, the primary healer. And if you go Bishop, then you're more kind of like a battle medic. You have more attack spells. You have some like debuffs, damage over time that you can apply to the enemy. And yeah, the Cardinal gets more range spells they can use. So you're kind of like a combination of healing and dealing damage, whereas the Priest is going to specialize in healing and buffing. And when you get to Oracle, you have the best buffs in the game. Now, all of the different class buffs can stack, so typically you'll want to have buffs from like each of the main master classes. Most of those are going to be coming from Oracle. They can increase all of your base core stats by a ton, and it'll make you like hundreds of times stronger. So definitely a very good class. A lot of people like to make slave accounts where basically you'll have your main account that's playing, and then you'll have your slave account where you have like an Oracle and some other classes with really good buffs. You log into that account and then buff yourself from it. Other people will just sell their buffs for money in game, so you can use your rupees in game to buy the buffs from them. Um, so yeah, but pure dedicated healer, buffer, utility. Now the pet class of the Diva is my main, and that was the breeder going soul breeder going master breeder. Now this class is going to be a little less hands-on than the other two pet classes. I would say for that reason this class is probably a little bit easier, especially for beginners to learn. Basically, most of your best buffs for your pets are actually passives. So just by having your pets in your formation and summoned, you're going to be increasing all of their stats by a lot. You still have some active buffs that you can give them to make them even stronger, and even some toggle buffs that you can turn on, where as long as you have the mana that will be constantly draining, you can make them even stronger. But basically, you just buff up your pets, and you send them out, and well, they destroy everything. The breeders, the master breeders, have the definitive strongest pets in the game compared to if you had the same pet equipped to an overlord or to um, the beast master. The master breeder has the best pets, and effectively you just kind of heal them and reapply their buffs. Sometimes it kind of can feel like you're almost playing the game AFK, but yeah. But yeah, that's my main. Master Breeders were always known for being some of the richest characters because of their abilities in taming and buffing pets and being able to go in and farm hard level areas easier because of how strong their pets are. Because pets are, again, the most important part of the game. But that is all of the classes. Um, Honestly, Master Breeder is my main, has been for a while now. My first character is a Dark Magician. I went Warlock and then went Corruptor. It was pretty cool. I ended up deleting it to make room because you can only have like 6 or 7 characters on a server, and I only play on one server. And ended up making them go Chaos Magician into Void Mage with those nukes, and yeah, it's satisfying. I'm currently working on leveling up a Shadow Hunter to Deadeye, and just dual wielding those crossbows with a ton of attack speed is pretty satisfying. And I once had a low level archer that I deleted to try and make a priest, but I'm probably gonna go back and make another archer because I actually really liked him. I don't know, I just like that slow but burst and the extra long range that you got on him compared to a Deadeye. I will say that each of the classes has their use. There is no class in the game that is not worth playing. There's no class in the game that just gets so outscaled by everything else that it's not, not even funny. Everything has a place. If you're playing solo, well, if you're playing in like a team, if you have a couple friends you're playing with, then I would say definitely the priest going like Oracle would be a very good thing to have. Maybe a Kahuna going Magus would be a very good thing to have. If you're playing solo, you can really solo the game with any class. I would say the healer would probably be the hardest. You would need a good pet that could do everything else for you, the tanking and the damage. But they're all pretty fun. Anyways, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to comment. Um, I'm new to this, but trying to learn, hoping to get better oratory skills. And yeah, I will be covering the. There's actually 2 pet systems in Rappelz. I'll be covering those in separate videos. I'll be covering PvP in another video. I'll be making multiple characters and doing like the training island videos. Um, Showing all the dungeons, how skill cards work, how you level up and enhance your equipment. Um, there's there's a lot of fun stuff in this game, and it's hard to think of everything at the moment that needs to be needs to be gone over. Anyways, thanks for watching. Again, let me know what you think, and also as you see that right now, the game is really old, so sometimes it'll crash on you. Like if you're trying to change a server, you'll also have to reboot it and then pick a different server. But nothing too terribly bad. Anyways, till next time.